Like what kind of like senior options placement you did?
So the most recent one, um, it's a couple. The lady has been living, the wife has been living in an adult family home for a couple of years now, and the husband has been living alone at their house, and he's having challenges in a sense that he's isolated. A lot of his friends passed away. A lot of his friends are not able to drive any longer. They So he feels isolated. There is really no social activity going on, and not only that, but he has to uh, make sure to work around the house, like the yard is properly maintained, and
Yeah.
have the funds for the property taxes and all the utilities, and pay the bills on time. And he's starting to have a little bit of memory loss, so he has a little bit of challenge with keeping up with the uh, uh, requirements of living in a society and have responsibilities.
Yeah.
So we talked about that, and we decided to move both of them. He is going to move into an independent living
Mm.
where all the meals are provided, transportation if needed, all the utilities are included in the rent, so he doesn't have to worry about uh, writing checks or paying invoices on a monthly basis. There's no property tax. Uh, all the advantages and perks of living in a senior living, independent living setting, he would benefit of all that, uh, and will completely change his life. Now, the company that we chose for them, they do have a memory care as well, where they can accommodate a high level of care. So his wife is moving into the memory care from the adult family home, and he is moving into the independent living. Uh, Now he's not going to have to drive to see his wife daily as he does now, and or he did before. And you know, his wife, it will be just a few steps away, very convenient for him to visit her as much as he wants and he can. And with the Seattle weather, no matter how rainy it's going to be, or cloudy, or gray, and uh, all that challenge will basically will be gone. And uh, the location of his wife and them basically living almost under the same roof will make everything much easier and a lot more convenient.
Yeah.
So I would say that is a success story uh, in helping changing someone's life towards better, easier, um, and enjoyable, bringing uh, the opportunity to socialize with others on a daily basis, and be involved in group activities and outings and things like that.
Yeah, and also like so the couple like husband and wife both are look like not too much far. They are like just steps away. So whenever they wanted to meet with each other, they can easily do. So that is
Yeah,
so like because most of the time like if that kind of situations happen, so they have to be like live separately, right? And as you say, like before that, like they have to like drive, and now it is like just step away and he can meet. So that's really beautiful success story, I can say.
yeah. I consider it a success story,
Yeah.
and this is my role to try to create and fulfill success stories as this one.
And I remember you did like a few more placement, right? Recently.
I always do placements. Yes.
So
There
do
is
you
one
have
in particular. Do you want to know about it?
maybe some examples related to adult family home?
Examples for adult family homes?
Yeah. If you have any success story for adult family home and how people reach you out and what exactly they are facing and
Yeah. So, I would say that there is always a success story because my role is in helping an individual who needs assistance, supervision, care throughout the night, throughout the day, throughout the night. So my role is to achieve all those things for that particular individual. Uh, Help them find the appropriate and the best match of a setting that would accommodate their uh, needs now and in the future. So by achieving that with every placement that I do, I would say that is a success story in itself
yeah.
every time. In particular, adult family homes, when somebody needs to go into an adult family home, in most cases, not always, but in most cases, they they already got to the point where they need a higher level of care. If someone would go into an assisted living, for example, would be very appropriate for someone who still has a pretty high level of independence and functionality. Um, so they can benefit of all the activities and outings and groups and social events and happy hour and all those things that are offered in an assisted living setting. So for someone who's got the level of independence and the cognitive level is appropriate for that, assisted living would be an ideal environment. Adult family homes, uh, the way that they're set up um, is that um, they are set up for a higher level of care to provide a higher level of care. And there are a lot of people that they been living in an assisted living, for example, for a number of years, but now they got to the point where they require uh, more services, more attention, more supervision. So it kind of changes a little bit the priorities, so to speak. And maybe for a number of years, the main priority it was socializing, it was activities, and it was being involved in group and really having a lifestyle and having a social life. Well, those individuals they may get to a point in their lives where that becomes not so important any longer, and their focus becomes care. Um, if their cognitive level declines or their physical abilities decline, then they would need more services, they would need more supervision, more attention. Um, and the adult family home really is the setting that can accommodate those services all the way to one on one care, hospice care, end of life care, uh, or overall close supervision and one-on-one care throughout the day and throughout the night. And that is due to the setting of an adult family home, which is a small environment. In Washington state, most of the adult family homes, the maximum capacity is 6 residents. Uh, 2, 3 years ago in Olympia, there was a law that passed which allow adult family homes to go up to 8 residents, but the majority still have a maximum of 6 residents. So it's a small environment. It's easy to navigate. There are no hallways. There is no elevator that needs to be taken in order to get to the dining area 3 times a day, every day. Um, and so it's much easier to navigate. Everything is a few steps away. most of the adult family homes by far are owned and operated by a family. In many cases, the family lives on the premises and they are the primary caretakers. They do hire one or two caregivers to help uh, with the services, and especially during the daytime when most of the tasks are performed, like medication administration and showers and activities and breakfast, lunch, and dinner and cooking and laundry and housekeeping and all that stuff. Uh, that's during the day. So that's where most of the staffing takes place. So is the husband and wife who are the primary caretakers. They hire one or two caregivers on top of that. So all of a sudden, you have a staff to resident ratio of one caregiver per two, maximum three residents. And really, there's no other setting out there. There's no assisted living that can offer such a uh, staff to resident ratio. So by having this type of staffing and small environment and the way they are set up to uh, accommodate, again, one-on-one care, close supervision throughout the day, throughout the night, through hospice and end of life care. In many cases, adult family home becomes the ideal environment for the individuals who require that level of care and attention and supervision.
So, like, do you have any, like, I know like you placed lots of people, but did you remember a story where they are in assisted living and then they realize like, okay, now they have to move on adult family home?
Well, I have right now. I'm working with a couple. They both been living in an assisted living in Bellevue for several years,
Okay.
and but the husband was diagnosed with dementia about 3 years ago, and is becoming a challenge to his wife, who has been the primary caretaker. And a couple of weeks ago, she called me and she said, "TD, I need help. I just cannot do this any longer." And we talked about the services that potentially the husband might benefit in the assisted living. We talked about the possibility of the husband moving into an adult family home, and uh, ultimately, the wife decided that the adult family home would be the best decision considering long term, meaning that he will move into an adult family home and most likely he would not have to move again.
Okay.
Uh, and that's going to be the direction we're going to take. We're going to go look at some places and uh, consider all the things that would be appropriate, and we will make that happen. Yeah. In other, so that would be an example of one of the spouses has to move from an assisted living to an adult family home. There are situations where they don't want to be separated, the couples, they don't want to be separated, and they choose that both of them to move in an adult family home, um, even though one of the spouses doesn't need to be in an adult family home. They're still totally independent. The cognitive level is really good, and they're still driving. They still, able to go on a cruise if they want to. But they choose to move together because they don't want to be separated. And how is that possible? They would either um, rent and pay two separate rooms in the same adult family home, or sometime if there is like a master bedroom available or a room that uh, is licensed, it's big enough, it has enough square footage and is licensed by the state to be occupied by two individuals, then they choose to share a room, a bigger room, a large room. So that is possible as well, and that happened in the past quite a few times as well. My role is to accomplish whatever the client wants. We talk about it. I give them my advice. I tell them what I think would be the best direction to take or the best option. Ultimately, they make the decisions. Clients, they make the final decisions. But my role is to educate, give them advice, and help with information. Be the resource of information for whatever they're looking or they want to accomplish.
So, if partners wanted to live together, so they can, like in adult family, it is allowed because they can rent the home or rent the room. But the same thing happened with the memory care or the assisted living as well, if they both wanted to live together.
So it is rare when, well, memory care facilities, they're either like a standalone memory care, meaning if the building is just the only service that they provide is a memory care. There is nothing else. There is no assisted living. There is no independent living. It's a standalone memory care building and service. But there are other companies that they do have independent living, they have assisted living, and they have memory care within the same campus. There are other that have only assisted living and memory care in the same building or the same campus. And so it is rare when there is a memory care, standalone memory care, when both individuals want to move there. The reason for I would say it's more rare, it's because for the spouse that cognitively is where their cognitive level is not impaired in any way, for them to live in an environment where pretty much everybody around them, they have a cognitive impairment, I think, and generally people think that it might be okay for a short-term period of time, but would not be an appropriate environment for someone to live long-term.
Okay.
So it is rare when people choose to go that route. And when they do, as far as I know, it doesn't last too long. So the more appropriate option would be to find a facility that offers independent living, assisted living, and memory care, or just assisted living and memory care. And they move in as a couple, and one spouse would be in a memory care, the other one would be in the other setting. Now, when I say assisted living, it doesn't necessarily mean that an individual moving into an assisted living, they require care. That is not the case at all. There are a lot of people to choose to move in an assisted living while they're totally independent and they don't require any services. Why they do that? Because they want to establish themselves in an environment where later on, down the road, so to speak, in the years to come, if a health issue comes up, if an accident happens, anything like that, they are already in an environment that can offer them help and services, assisted living services. And the beauty with that, in many cases, is that once their status changes from independent living, from assisted living, they remain in the same apartment. They don't have to move to another side of the building, another building, or anything like that. So they stay in the same apartment. It's just downstairs in the business office, their status changes from independent living to assisted living. So a lot of people independent or totally independent people. They think ahead, they plan ahead, and I think it's a really good choice uh, to make to consider that option to move as an independent living resident in an assisted living facility.
Yeah, that is very interesting point because most of the time, like whenever people have just a last moment, then they are thinking about okay, they should go to the assisted living. But independent living is, I think, the best option because like you're already living independently and you know the stuff and you just like a little bit like when you moving to the independent living so you like free from a little bit responsibilities and when something came up and these kind of facilities already provide the assisted living so it is easy to like uh, integrate with independent to assisted living system.
Yeah, because people they've been living there for a while uh, before something happens, and they get to know the staff. The staff gets to know them. They become that's their home, so they become very familiar with the environment. So if something happens and crisis mode kicks in, they go to the hospital. Post hospital, they can return to their home, to their apartment in the assisted living because the facility is able to provide the services that now they need.
And
So that's a good thing.
yeah, and how the financial work in that scenario does like when you are like in independent living and when you are assisted living, so there's a financials like gap or like we have to pay less or more. How
Yeah.
the
So if you live in an assisted living facility as an independent living resident, you only pay the rent. And
okay,
in most cases, the rent basically includes everything: the electricity, the water, the sewer, the garbage, housekeeping once a week, 2 times a week, all the meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or in some cases, just 2 meals a day, depending on the facility, transportation to doctor appointments, transportation to outings, um, a social, a lifestyle, and all those benefits are included in the Wi-Fi. All those are included in the rent. Uh, Pretty much the only out-of-pocket expense would be a phone, either a landline for those who still choose to have a landline or a cell phone. That would be an out-of-pocket expense. Other than that, pretty much everything is included in the monthly rent. Now, if someone is totally independent, they pay only the rent. But if they start needing help and assistance, their status changes from independent living to assisted living. At that time, the nurse from the assisted living would meet with the resident. They would do an assessment, an evaluation, and that evaluation will establish what are the services, care services that the resident needs. Based on that evaluation, they would establish a cost.
okay.
The care cost will be added on top of the rent. And, and that would be the answer in regards to the
Yeah.
financial side of things and the differences between independent living status and assisted living status, living in an assisted living.
And the same thing happened with like the people who are living in assisted living and some point of time they need an adult family home. So same thing happened like in that scenario as well.
That is a little bit different because if they live in an assisted living, they're already receiving care services. That means their status is already established as assisted living. But if they need to move into an adult family home, then in the state of Washington, there is a requirement that prior to someone moving into an adult family home, there is an assessment that has to be done by a nurse who has certain certifications and qualifications.
Okay.
It's about 26 pages. assessment that basically would has questions about an individual's personal, social, insurance, healthcare, medical information, and so that assessment has to be done prior to someone moving into an adult family home. And the reason for that assessment is not only because it's a state requirement, but also that assessment is used by the adult family home care provider once an individual moves in. That assessment is used to create a 24-hour care plan. That 24-hour care plan, it will be basically would be a reflection of how 24 hours, what are all the services and what are all the care needs that the individual has throughout 24 hours. Medication administration, meals, if there is any wounds, wound care protocol, showers, exercises. So everything that a resident and individual services that they receive in an adult family home are reflected in that 24-hour care plan. So the care provider takes the assessment to create that 24-hour care plan once someone moves in. And of course, the care plan would be adjusted as the care providers learn more about the residents. So from a financial perspective, moving into an adult family home doesn't have anything to do with the cost in an assisted living. The adult family home care providers, they take a look at that assessment. They would meet with their potential new resident, and based on the level of care they require, they would establish the cost that could be the same or almost the same or very different than whatever they previously paid in an assisted living setting.
So my last question from you, and maybe it will help lots of people who are watching this video. If there's a couple or partners who are living together and they have to make a plan, like, okay, how their rest of the life will go, and one of them is like independent, they are doing very like one of them is like doing very good, and other person may be showing some kind of symptoms. So what's the best time to move them to independent living, and then since like they can follow the assisted living?
What I've learned in many years of working in this industry is that the best time to make a change, the best time to make a move is while things are going well, when everybody is healthy, everybody is functional, uh, and avoid to make a change and to make a move when or after the crisis mode kicked in. So being healthy, everything going well, that would be the time to go and visit places, talk with people, do the research, make a decision, make a change, make a move, and benefit from all the perks that an independent living or an assisted living setting offers. And then when or if something happens, an accident or a health issue, then the individual is already living in a place that can accommodate services for them. That is not the case for independent living, because independent living is not licensed to provide absolutely any care. But if they are in a place that is licensed, in a facility that are licensed for independent and assisted living, then that should not be a problem because the facility would be able to use their assisted living license
Yes.
to provide services and care for the individuals. Yeah.
And that way, like they can live together because sometimes couple want like I think most of the time, like if they have a really good bond, they wanted to live together, right? So
Yeah, most cases, yeah.
that's the best way where like they can both live together with the facilities they are looking for, with peace of mind and with caring, with loved ones. So I think that's the best way to do it.
Many people think so, yes. But it's not only, you know, the relationship side of things where people choose to live together, but there is a financial benefit as well.
Okay.
And if a couple moves together in an apartment, so
Mhm.
basically they don't have to pay for two separate places. So they would be the rent for the apartment, and one of the spouses is included in that rent. And then for the second person, there is a second person fee where usually it's between, I would say, to give a range between $700 to $1,500 per month on top of the rent, because the second person, they eat, they use the water, they use the electricity, so they do have their own creating expenses for the facility, and that is the reason why there is a second person fee. So I would say it is financially more beneficial to pay that second person fee on top of a rent versus two separate apartments or two separate locations
Yeah,
at the same time.
and I think most of the time people don't aware about that kind of like because like obviously like with the relationship people wanted to live together but at the financials people don't have awareness and they living like separately and paying two different like rent things and at the same time they are separating so there's a emotional and financial draining both are like doing at the same time and if they find people like you make their life more easy and more meaningful.
I hope so. I think that that's what I'm doing.
No, no, definitely I will say like people should talk to you because you have lots of knowledge in that like space and people need uh your knowledge.
Well, and you are correct. They should talk to me. So that's why they should visit my website, which is a1seniorcareadvisors.com. Or just give me a call, 425-324-5592. Give me a call and we'll talk about anything that you need to, uh, we'll find the answers to your questions. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes if people like not able to visit you specifically like in local area in Bellevue or in Seattle area, um, are you also provide like you also go and visit at their home or you work on weekends? Like how your working hours? Or do you like should people need to pay you or like how things work?
Well, I'm trying to be available at all times, reasonable hours, but I am trying to be available, 7 days a week. Because in many cases, people need me and people need me now. That happens quite a bit. So, yes, I do answer the phone in the weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays. I answer the phone in holidays. Labor Day is coming up in a few days. I'm planning on having the phone with me, and as long as I have phone reception, wherever I am, then I will answer my phone. Um, but I do like to meet with people in person. I like to take the time to uh, get to know them better and them to get to know me better. Uh, and I like the personal. interaction. But for those, many times happens to talk with people out of state or out of the Bellevue or Greater Seattle area, and we do have Zoom meetings. Uh, we can do Google Meet or FaceTime on the phone or anything like that, whatever works for them. I'm very flexible with that.
That's
Yeah,
really nice. And I will just say to the audience, like, if they really wanted to know more about you and how you work, uh, visit your website. You have lots of information there and lots of blog. So please, please, please visit TB's
yeah, thank you.
website, a1seniorcareadvisors.com. So thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
of
so
course.
much for your time and your knowledge. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deeply. Nice talking with you,
Yep.
as always.
Thank you.